Top 10 self-declared African presidents of all time. Hello Displorers, welcome to another informative video presented to you by Displorer and thanks for watching. In this video, we'll be looking at top self-declared African presidents. Throughout its history, Africa has been plagued with several surges of power claimed by individuals who, by coup d'etats, revolutionary tactics or abuse of constitutional rights, have self-proclaimed themselves as presidents of their countries, with some declaring themselves as presidents for life. However, while some presidents in Africa have manipulated constitutional laws to thwart presidential terms and extend their time in office, others went as far as self-declaring themselves as president. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Number 10. SOBHUZA II, King of Swaziland, 1900 to 1982. Starting off is a former Swaziland monarch. SOBHUZA, also known as Nkotfojeni, was born on 22nd July 1899 in Zombodzi royal residence and became the paramount chief and later NGUEMA of Swaziland, present-day Eswatini, for 82 years and 254 days, which has gone down as the longest verifiable reign of any monarch in history. He was the son of King Gwine V. SOBHUZA led Swaziland through independence from the British government and was succeeded by Mswati III, his son. King Mswati III ascended the throne in 1986 and has since been in power. A new constitution was established in 1998, which allowed for some degree of democratic rule. However, Eswatini remains an absolute monarchy, and the ability of citizens to participate in the political process is limited. Number 9. MOBUTU SESE SEKO, DR Congo, 1965 to 1997. Born Joseph Desiree Mobutu on 14 October 1930, Mobutu Sese Seko was a Congolese politician and military officer who became president of then Zaire from 1965 to 1997. Mobutu also headed the Organization of African Unity as chairman from 1967 to 1968. Mobutu masterminded the execution of Patrice Lumumba and finally organized a second coup d'etat, directly becoming president. His regime was absolutely based on dictatorship as he consolidated his power by abolishing opposition parties and single-handedly changed the Congo's name to Zaire in 1971 and his own name to Mobutu Sese Seko the following year. He was ousted in May 1997 when rebel forces led by Laurent Desire Kabila took over the country and forced him into exile. Mobutu died in Morocco 3 months later due to prostate cancer. Number 8. Hastings KAMUZU BANDA, Malawi, 1964 to 1994. Hastings was born in 1898 and became Prime Minister of Malawi in 1964, and then President in 1965 when the country became a republic. Banda spent his educational years in the UK studying ethnography, linguistics, history, and medicine. 2 years after his appointment as Prime Minister of Malawi, he proclaimed Malawi a republic with himself as president. Banda then consolidated power and later claimed Malawi a one-party state under the Malawi Congress Party, MCP, which he chaired. In 1970, the MCP made him the party's president for life, and just the next year, Hastings Banda became president for life of Malawi itself. Banda led a reckless regime with over 6,000 people estimated to have died in his reign. Banda died in South Africa on the 25th of November 1997. Number 7. Muammar Gaddafi, Libya, 1969 to 1977. When you hear of Muammar Muhammad Abu Minya al-Gaddafi, you think of the most controversial African dictators of all time. He was born to a poor Bedouin family in 1942 in Sirte, Libya. Known commonly as Colonel Gaddafi, he was a Libyan revolutionary, politician, and political theorist. Gaddafi seized power in 1969 and proclaimed himself president, setting up his Revolutionary Command Council. He has a particular disdain for the United States, United Kingdom, and Israel, resulting in the 1986 US bombing of Libya and United Nations imposed economic sanctions. Gaddafi became chairperson of the African Union from 2009 to 2010. However, in 2011, due to his ruthless regime and oppressive governance, there was a massive civil war, in which the NATO military joined the anti-Gaddafi's National Transitional Council, NTC. Gaddafi's government was finally overthrown, with him being captured and killed at his hideout in Sirte by NTC troops. Number 6. Francisco Macias Nguema, Equatorial Guinea, 1968 to 1979. Francisco Macias Nguema was born on the 1st of January 1924 to Maci Nguema. He became the first president of Equatorial Guinea from 1968 until his overthrow and subsequent execution in 1979. Macias had a rough childhood, being born to a witch doctor who allegedly killed his younger brother. At age 9, Nguema witnessed the death of his father by a Spanish colonial administrator for trying to negotiate better wages for his village people. Just like JEAN-BEDEL BOKASSA, Macias lost his mom a week later to suicide, and he was left to face the cruelty of orphanhood in the colonial era. Despite these tragedies, Macias eventually rose through political ranks under the Spanish colonial government and later served as a member of the territorial parliament. In 1964, he was named Deputy Prime Minister of the Autonomous Transition Government. Just 3 years in power, Macias Nguema issued Decree 415, which substituted portions of the 1968 Constitution and granted him all direct powers of government and institutions. After 8 years of brutal governance and autocracy, on 29 September 1979, the Tribunal Court delivered a death sentence on Macias Nguema, which led to a firing squad by a hired Moroccan elite squad, and with 6 of his collaborators imprisoned and Teodoro Obiang Nguema succeeding him as president. Number 5. Jean-BEDEL Bokassa, Central African Republic, 1976 to 1979. Jean-BEDEL Bokassa, born 22 February 1921, also known as Bokassa I, was a Central African political and military leader who served as the second president of the Central African Republic and as the emperor of its successor state, known as the Central African Empire. During his teenage years, his father was forced by the French government to arrange for his villagers to work for the French Frontiers Company under forced labor. However, when Midogong resisted, he was captured and beaten to death, and a week later his wife, unable to bear the loss of her husband, committed suicide. Bokassa thus grew up with the pain of orphanhood, and being overwhelmed by the French authority, decided to undertake French education, joining the army and rising through ranks to become a politically revered figure. Bokassa spent 11 years as president and 3 years as imperial governor of his empire. In 1971, he promoted himself to full general, and on 4th March 1972, declared himself president for life, with his imperial regime lasting from December 4, 1976 to 21 September 1979. Bokassa finally died in 1996 after being accused of several criminal charges. Number 4. HABIB BOUNGUIBA, Tunisia, 1957 to 1987. HABIB BOUNGUIBA was a Tunisian lawyer, nationalist leader and statesman who led the country from 1956 to 1987 as Prime Minister of the then Kingdom of Tunisia, and later as then the first President of Tunisia from 1957 to 87. He equally led the nation to independence from France, ending the 75-year-old protectorate and earning the title of Supreme Combatant. HABIB was born in Monastir to a wretched family and attended Sadiki College in Tunis before obtaining his baccalaureate in 1924. The same year, he was elected interim president of Tunisia by parliament. HABIB used his office to set up a strong educational, socialist, nationalist, and presidential system. He equally proclaimed himself president for life in 1975, during his 4th 5-year term. His health began declining, and he was removed from power by his prime minister, Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, and later died at his private residence. Number 3. Idi Amin Dada, Uganda, 1971 to 1979. Idi Amin Dada was one of the most infamous African dictators of the 20th century, nicknamed the Butcher of Uganda. He was a Ugandan military officer who served as the president of Uganda from 1971 to 79, and is popularly considered one of the most brutal despots in the world history. Amin was born in Koboko in 1925. When he was just 21, he joined the King's African Rifles of the British Colonial Army as a cook, but later attained the rank of lieutenant, being part of various British anti-rebel expeditions in Somalia and other regions. In 1971, when he was made commander, Amin allegedly mismanaged military funds and set up a coup d'etat that ousted the president, Milton Obote, when he learnt of his plot to apprehend him. The UK broke diplomatic relations with Uganda in 1977 due to Amin's inhumane act and human rights violations, leading him to declare himself as conqueror of the British Empire. In 1978, Tanzanian President Julius Nyerere responded to a Ugandan attack on its territory by dispatching troops to invade Uganda. Kampala was captured on 11 April 1979, overthrowing Amin from power. Amin died in exile at Saudi Arabia. It is noted that over 500,000 people were killed under Idi Amin's regime. Number 2. Omar al-Bashir, Sudan, 1989 to 2019. Omar Hassan Ahmed al-Bashir, born on 1 January 1944, is a Sudanese former military officer and politician who became the 7th president of Sudan. After acquiring various titles from 1989 to 2019, he was deposed in a coup d'etat. By March 2009, al-Bashir became the first sitting head of state to be indicted by the International Criminal Court for supposedly fostering a campaign of mass killing, rape, and pillage against his own civilians in Darfur. In his reign, the Second Sudanese War ended in a referendum for the separation from the South to form present-day South Sudan as an independent country. After he had spearheaded the civil war which displaced over 2.5 million people out of total population of 6.2 million in Darfur and created diplomatic strifes and tensions with Chad. On 11 April 2019, al-Bashir was removed from his post by the Sudanese Armed Forces after many months of protest and civil uprisings. He was confined to house arrest in preparation for a transitional council to be formed. At the time of his arrest, al-Bashir was the longest ruling president of the Arab League. Number 1. Yoweri Museveni, Uganda, 1986 to present day. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is currently the self-proclaimed leader of Uganda. Born 15 September 1944, Museveni was the son of a cattle keeper and housewife. Museveni is a retired general and politician who has served as president of Uganda since 1986. Museveni was part of a fierce opposition that led to the crumbling of Ugandan leaders Idi Amin and Milton Obote. Although he claimed the presidency and captured power, during the mid-90s, Museveni was celebrated by the West as part of a new generation of African leaders. During his reign, Uganda has experienced relative peace and significant success. Amidst many irregularities, Museveni's government has been attributed to constitutional amendments thwarting the presidential term limit in 2005 and the presidential age limit in 2017. He is still in power till date. There you have it, explorers. Those were the self-declared presidents in Africa. Thanks for watching this video. If you did enjoy the video, do want to give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.